and we're going to use the money that we made to pay off debt and to reduce taxes. Going to eliminate hundreds of billions of dollars of waste and fraud. And I can only tell you, I'll give you a little early report, they're finding things that you wouldn't even believe. I'll keep my promise to pass historic tax cuts for families, workers, and businesses that create jobs in America. We'll immediately restore the sovereign borders of the United States and stop illegal immigration, which is costing us, I believe, trillions of dollars.
Well, that was President-elect Trump at his first press conference today. A refreshing change, taking questions, talking policy. Joining us now, Trump's nominee for U.S. Ambassador to Israel, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, congratulations. Your reaction to Trump talking detailed policies?
Well, it's refreshing to hear a president who knows what he's talking about, who has a very, very specific plan of how to bring prosperity and jobs to this country. I thought it was incredible and very Trump-like that when a $100 billion investment is announced, he looks at the guy and says, let's make it $200 billion, and does it in front of everybody. You got to love that. And the interesting thing is that there was not a flinching or a pulling of the hair when all that happened. I think Donald Trump is going to bring a level of economic activity to this country, the likes of which we have never seen before. It's already started. And Liz, we're a little more than a month away from when the man takes office. Yeah, and now we see Justin Trudeau at a 20% approval rating. His Liberal Party in shambles. His deputy, Christian Freeland, just stepped down. You know, let's show that moment when Trump talked today on camera about doubling a massive $100 billion in the United States from SoftBank. He wants 200,000 jobs. He wants $200 billion. Watch the art of the deal in real time. Watch this.
I would really like to celebrate the great victory of President Trump. And my confidence level to the economy of the United States has tremendously increased with his victory. So because of that, I'm now excited to commit this $100 billion and 100,000 jobs into the United States.
I'm going to ask him right now, would you make it $200 billion?
It's hysterical. It's great, right? I mean, so you see Trump in action. Is the era of failed Democrat socialist policies that Obama started under Biden, Biden took up that baton and ran down the road with it, is that now over? Or is it changing? Do you see the media reacting more positively to Trump? We're hearing House Democrats responding positively, too.
Well, I think the past is definitely over. And whether the media gets it or not, I frankly don't care. And I don't think anybody in America cares. They just aren't that relevant anymore. They've proven themselves to be not only dishonest, but they're so discredited that we don't pay that much attention to them, and we shouldn't. What we are paying attention to is somebody who shows up with the checkbook and says, here's $100 billion, and the president looks at him and says, let's double that, make it $200 billion and 200,000 jobs, and he doesn't run for the exit. This is classic economic stimulation for the country. I love the way he does business. It's straight up, transparent. There's not a lot of hand-wringing or let's go back and sweat it out. No, he just says, here's what we'd like.
Right.
And you know what? People respect that, Liz. They respect it a lot. It's working.
49 states have swung red. There's only one state that's blue. It's Massachusetts. It's basically the map is Democrat-run cities. Let's listen to Trump talk more policy. He says he will fire stay-at-home government bureaucrats working from home. And listen to him slamming Biden for selling off pieces of the border wall. Watch.
If people don't come back to work, come back into the office, they're going to be dismissed. And somebody in the Biden administration gave a 5-year waiver of that, so that for 5 years, people don't have to come back into the office. It involved 49,000 people. For 5 years, they don't have to go. They just signed this thing. It's ridiculous. So it was like a gift to a union. But now we ordered an additional 200 miles of wall. It's very expensive. And now it's about double the price of what it would have been 6 years ago. What they're doing is really an act. It's almost a criminal act.
Governor, what do you expect more we'll see coming out from when Trump takes office, his people get in power? What more are they going to uncover?
Well, the fact that they've uncovered that 94% of the federal workforce are working from home. Whenever, Liz, in the history of the world, do the employees get to tell the employer what their conditions of work are going to be? I've never had a job like that. I've been working since I was a child, even before I was a teenager. I never got to dictate the terms. I love the way that Donald Trump is treating this like a business CEO would treat it and say, here are the conditions. You don't want to come to work? Fine. You'll find something else to do, but it won't be with the federal government. God bless him.
I'll tell you, my parents, like you, and they never wanted stay-at-home children not working. They wanted them out of the house working. Governor Huckabee, congratulations again. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Liz.